Greetings everyone, welcome back to Dawn and Dreams. It is Priestess of the African River Eagle, aka Ms.Z on this channel. If you would, please make sure that you like and subscribe. Comment down below, I love to read the comments. If you would like to book a reading with me, please go to dawnanddreams.com. That link will be in the description box. On the website, I also offer other services such as classes and handmade products too, so please check that out on the website. So this is going to be a video that I've been wanting to do on 5 ways to really know if you have a spiritual calling. Okay. And I say a spiritual calling in a way of a calling to heal, because I believe that we are all meant to be spiritual in some sense. But I do feel that there is a difference between, putting a band-aid on and getting surgery. So you have your doctors and you have, people who can do basic remedies at home. So I believe we're all meant to do basic remedies at home, but only a few of us are qualified to be doctors in order to heal other people. And I hope that this video helps those who are struggling to understand their calling, or want to know if they have a calling. Will be able to help them. But this is only 5 ways. I would have to do, of course, more than 2 videos, but I would definitely need to do a part 2. So if you want a part 2 to this video, please let me know in the comments. But again, you're not limited to this. This is not the only ways to know that if you have a calling. These are just some ways, okay, that I wanted to identify today. So let's get into the 5 ways to really know if you have a spiritual calling to do this work. Now, one of the first ways to know if you have a spiritual calling to do healing work is if your relationships start to fall through. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Basically, if you are in a relationship and that person isn't spiritually aligned, your ancestors, when they start to call you to do this work, that relationship can start to fall through, because you may come to them about spiritual experiences that you have, and they may ignore you. They may, downplay what you're going through. And this is because you're not, supposed to go at a certain point, you're supposed to drop that person off. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to meet anybody else. Likely you will meet someone else, either then or down in the line when they find someone who's more suitable for your lifestyle that you're going to be living. Because you have to understand that spiritual people, they have a lot of spiritual commitments to keep up with. Like, your partner needs to understand that you may need to do healings for people, that you may need to do readings for people, that you may need to pray at least 2 or 3 times a day. Your spiritual partner has to understand that. And they also cannot be judgmental if their spirituality differs from yours. You can be with someone who their spirituality is a bit different from yours. That's fine. But they have to be non-judgmental to allow you to grow, because your ancestors may not want you to do the same things that that person is doing. And if they, become a problem, your ancestors are going to move them out of the way. And normally they'll try to give you a way out before forcing it to happen. But yes, your spiritual calling is very important, because that's your purpose. So if that person is interfering with your calling, likely they will drop off. And this goes with friends as well too. You may even separate from family for a little while, so that you can not separate as in, just leave them behind, never call them again. Not like that. Just in a way that you may not tell them everything that you're doing, because you have to allow yourself space to grow. And when these spirits start to come to you and your gifts start coming in, you're going to want to be around people who understand you and are non-judgmental. Okay. And if I'm looking down, sorry guys, I just need to keep up and stay on track. Okay. Yes, as you start to elevate, and I look at it in the ways of a bird, in the ways of the eagle, in the ways of the vulture, birds who fly extremely high. And in order to fly high, or any bird for that matter, to be honest, in order for them to fly, they can't carry a heavy weight. They can carry what they can carry, but they can't what they can't. So if, something is spiritually weighing you down, like certain relationships, things of that nature, they have to be moved out the way for your spiritual practice. Now, like I said, going back to friends, this deals with them too. A lot of times when we have friends, we want to, shout out to the ancestors. Whenever I hear the train, that's the ancestors. A lot of times when we have friends, we want to mold ourselves to be around these people, in order to have a good time. A lot of them may not want to. Nowadays, things are a little bit different, so you may find yourself around spiritual friends, and that's good. But, a few years ago, it wasn't like that. And there's still a lot of people who are very, religious and things of that nature. So they don't want to hear you talking about ancestors and things of that nature. And as your ancestors start to step forward, they're going to move these people out the way. And let me just touch on one more thing before I move on to number two. If you do have spiritual friends and you notice that they drop off as well too, as you start to get more into your wisdom and more into your science, this is also because you are starting to well, really it's your ancestors, really, because your ancestors can see further than you, but you may also be able to start seeing their true colors too. So if they're jealous of you and your growth and things like that, your ancestors start to be like, we don't want this person around you, because they start to look at the people around you and they start to see who's really in alignment with your destiny. It's not what do I want to say? It's like it's not a bad thing. It's like it's no shade to them personally. It's just about your growth. It's kind of like going off to college and things like that. Like you have to be able to focus on your work, and things like that. So spirit may want to separate you from things that are heavy distractions. Okay, so let's go on to number two. Another way, or the second way to know if you have a spiritual calling, is you may, at a young age, and oh Lord, sun's out, but it's raining. But that's a blessing though. You may at a young age or coming up in, yeah, I'm sorry guys, I get distracted. I'm a bird lady, so you have to forgive me. But experience rejection. You may experience bullying. You may experience never fitting in. Um, And again, this is a part of, I've learned over the years that this is a part of understanding that, later in life, you will have to have thick skin. So sometimes your ancestors and spirits will allow you to go through a certain experience. And a lot of times we sign up for that even before we come here. But not to get off into that, just, a lot of times we go through things at a younger age. So that way we'll be prepared for our journey, later on. Because being a true spiritualist, being someone who's called to heal people, um, being someone who's called to heal people, it is a very, very hard path, um, because you may be going up against people. You have to stay, grounded in your beliefs, regardless of everybody else in the room doesn't believe. You may have to do things that are out of the normal. You will have people who try to attack you for your beliefs. So the rejection that you feel, early in, your earlier years, this is going to help you get a thicker skin. Okay. Another thing I want to address, hold on, and I probably should have put this in part one, but sometimes too, like even when you feel like you have a spiritual calling at a young age but you can't follow through with it because you don't have the support, a lot of times that's also your ancestors trying to help you, in a way, because they want you to enjoy your youth. Now some people will have their calling early, so they may start their spiritual work very early, but sometimes, most of the time, if you are even called at a young age, spirit will try to push it, or push it back a little bit, because at the end of the day, hold on guys, it's raining, hold on. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So you may answer the calling later, because at the end of the day, um, you know spirit wants you to have lived your life a little bit before you are dedicated, before your friends have to walk away from you, or they have to, you have to separate from them, because this can be a very lonely path. So enjoy your youth. For those of you who are watching at a young age, you're like, I want to start my spiritual journey, I want to do this. I think at a young age you should be educating yourself, but at the same time, enjoying your youth, because you don't want to have to worry about so many things spiritually, like not being around certain people because they have this type of energy on them, that type of thing going on at an early age. But some people do anyway, so that's just how the cookie crumbles. Some people get their gifts at an early age. I've seen that in my family. But there are some people who are blessed enough to be able to wait until they're a little bit older. And what else was I going to say on this note? Also, there are people who may, of course, come into their calling, like I said, at a later age. And, you know, in this space, things become very uncomfortable. Have you heard it's a bird coming through? Um, this may make you, very uncomfortable because nobody no longer understands you and things of that nature. But, uh, people who can get it at a later age, sometimes spirit will make you go through certain experiences to get your attention about your calling. So let's say, for instance, you go through a near-death experience. Now that's on the extreme level, but you go through a near-death experience, and this gives you some type of revelation. And at the end of the day, you may have chosen to understand your calling that way, because you want to help other people to say, hey, I've been through this. I never thought, I never believed in spirit in this type of way, but when I went through this experience, I'm able to see now. Okay. So definitely, let's go on to number three. All right, so number three, another way to know that you have a spiritual calling to heal is that you have a hard time living a regular life. Um, Even if you are gifted in other areas, spirit may block those paths altogether because you have not answered your spiritual calling. So you may be, someone who wants to sing and all these other things, but it just never goes right. Now, that's not to say, because the singing path is a hard path, music is a hard path. So don't hear this and say, well, I must have a calling. That's not necessarily it. There may be other factors that go into that too. So keep that in mind. But, and it's raining again. Hold on. Now back to what I was saying. Maybe you want to be an architect. Maybe you want to just have a regular job in your life, but it just doesn't work out. You know that you have spiritual gifts, and yet you're ignoring them. So, therefore, again, you won't receive a lot of prosperity. Spirit can block your prosperity until you pick up a job in healing. Now, sometimes you can do both. The ancestors and spirits will allow you to do both. For some people, they want you to dedicate all of your life to spirituality. So they will allow you to have a job while doing spirituality, but eventually you will go on to just do spirituality, completely, and that's just it. Um, because spirit does understand. But at the end of the day, if that's your calling, if that's what you signed up here to do, then of course these other areas, they're not going to bless you in, because this is what you decided that you wanted to do here on earth. So until you get a clue, you may not succeed in other areas, even if you're multi-talented. And some of those talents a lot of times are supposed to be put into your work. Like if you can sing, maybe as this is again, if you can sing, you are supposed to be singing for spirit, and expressing spirituality through that. If you can dance, maybe you are supposed to be dancing with spirit. um, you know Anything like art, all those type of things, being able to create, you might be able to use that better within your spirituality. But it just depends, because some people can do multiple things at once, so I don't want to limit you. But again, those things may not be successful until you answer your calling. Okay, so let's go on to number four. Now, this is something that I talked about on my Instagram. So if you made it this far, follow me on Instagram. um, Another way to determine, if you have a spiritual calling is, if you suffer from, excuse me, if you suffer from like an illness, this could be mental or physical. It doesn't have to be a severe illness, but it can be. It can be something that is unresolved, that you go to doctors and they're telling you, okay, well, it just is what it is. There's nothing that can be done about it. Or, you might have to take this prescription for the rest of your life. And you're like, what? In your spirit and your soul, you know that something isn't right, and it will keep sitting on your spirit until you get spiritual help or spiritual assistance to resolve it. Okay. And I've had situations with not major illnesses or anything. I don't even know if it's called an illness. I wouldn't even say it's that, but just little things with me. Until I became a priestess, it never resolved itself. Never. So, and I don't want to, specify to women, but I do know with women, menstruation issues can be one. Um, it can be, pain in your legs. It can just be a number of things, even like I said, mental illness. If you don't answer your calling, or if you ignore your calling, you can start to go crazy, because you're going to be experiencing things in a different way than other people, and because you're not getting help to figure things out, to calm things down, to learn, it gets worse, because that, like I said, that was your calling. So spirit will increase things in order to alert you, because you said, hey, when I come to earth, this is how you're going to signify that I have this calling. All right, you're going to give me something, some type of illness that's not going to be resolved by the doctors. I have to go to a spiritualist in order to figure out that I have a calling, that I have to initiate, that I have to do this and this and that. So give me this signal. And they're giving you the signal, but you're not paying attention, you're not answering. So it just progressively gets worse. Okay. So again, pay attention to your body, pay attention to illnesses and things like that, because they can be a sign of a spiritual calling to heal for other people. Now sometimes it's just to be resolved. You may not have to go further than just resolving the issue spiritually, but in other cases it may be because, again, this is a call to attention to your spirit, that you are to help other people with the same issue. All right. So let's go on to number 5. Now, this one is, probably one that a lot of people get. You keep having dreams, okay? You keep having dreams related to spirituality, or just confusing dreams. Sometimes your dreams are confusing in the beginning, but you may have dreams related to teeth falling out. I used to have that so much, and I used to be so scared. I was like, what the hell is going on? But those are spiritual dreams, and through research and through elders and things like that, you learn what dream meanings are. And I've learned them in different cultures, but so these are general meanings, guys. But anyway, if you're having dreams of your teeth falling out, that is a sign of initiation that's needed, spiritual growth that's needed. Okay. If you have dreams about flying, those are also spiritual dreams as well too, because you are elevating, you are getting higher, you are able to see more things. If you have dreams about spiritual teachers or just teachers, some people are not going to have a spiritual teacher in their dream saying, hey, you have a calling. Sometimes you have to, because it all depends on your spiritual vocabulary. So sometimes it could be a regular teacher. You just find yourself in school or in a class. I've had that happen before too. Those are, spiritual dreams likely. But yeah, you'll find yourself going to school all the time, signing up for some class, and that is a sign that, hey, you need to be, learning. Another thing is, you are in the dream, maybe you go to church, because different people have different types of callings. So your ancestors, your most recent ancestors, might have been church going people. So this is their way of communicating to you that, hey, you need to devote yourself to spirituality. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will be of the church, but again, they're using this spiritual vocabulary that you understand to communicate to you that you have a calling. Okay. If you have dreams of ancestors all the time coming to you, that is also a sign. Ancestors can come and visit any and everybody, regardless if you have a calling or not. So it's important to know the difference. But if it's constant, if you're getting dreams about, other people's ancestors too, if that has started, but that normally can come later. But either way, if you have dreams about ancestors constantly coming to you, you see random people in your dream just standing there, maybe not even saying anything, you want to investigate what's going on with you. Okay. um, Dreams of water, some people have water spirits, so it'll be communicated to them through water spirits or just being around bodies of water. um, Dreams of animals and totems coming to you in dreams are very, very important to watch. Not all of them can represent a calling. Some of them can represent certain things going on with you, like spiritual attacks and things like that. So again, it's important to know the difference, but these animals can signify a calling to you. um, if you have animals chasing you in a dream, that chasing you can symbolize they're trying to get your attention, that you have a calling. This can also happen in the physical realm. Birds and things like that can chase you down, like they did me, um, to say, hey, what are you doing? um, let's see. Oh, another thing is, you begin to initiate in the spirit realm. This can happen as well too. Your ancestors, your ancient ancestors, your spirit guides, whatever you want to refer to the energy as, they can start to teach you things in the spirit realm, and you're like, how do I know about this, or things like that, or you prophesize the future. All of those things can signify a calling, okay? Because you're learning things in the spirit realm, and you're downloading this information, you're understanding, the spirit realm in itself. So those are, signs of a calling. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. I think I covered everything for today. Again, if you would like a part 2 of this video, please let me know in the comments. Make sure that you like this video, okay? Make sure you like, make sure that you share. Even if none of these things relate to you, it can also relate to somebody else. And it's also just good information, because not everything applies to me, but I always try to learn what are the many ways to have a calling, because I deal with a lot of clients. So I want to be able to recognize what is going on with you. Even if it didn't happen to me, I still want to know what's going on with you. All right, guys. Peace.